Okay, so here I am. It's Tuesday, February 27th, and I am feeling much better today. Thank goodness. I I've just had it up and down kind of last few weeks here, but I'm sitting here off my patio looking at the pond and the birds and the mess the birds have left on my deck that I'm just not going to clean up today because we have snow coming. Yeah, it was 67 yesterday, so I get to wear my winter gear at least for one more day. Um, so today I wanted to I didn't really have anything written down. I hope you were able to watch my video from yesterday. I hope to have some more that are targeted towards maybe more motivation and what to do in certain situations because everybody's situation is different, right? Um, I can't speak on everyone's behalf, but you know, my 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 problems that I created for myself or the problems that were in my life really were triggers for me to drink, to make things feel better, make things go away. Didn't have to think about anything. Um, so I want to talk a little bit about my appointment that happened yesterday. It was a meeting with a caseworker at the hospital, um, just so that we can have a team put together for me so things don't get so confusing because right now I see a kidney doctor, my routine physician, my office visits, and then I see my gastroenterologist at Minji. Um, so I'm always getting like results or not getting results, and they can't see this and I can't see that. And um, they're also going to give me some help here at the house. Just I need some help with some things sometimes. I'm getting better at with taking my meds, and unless I fall asleep or fall into one of those coma states, I you know thankfully um, Mike and Kaylee have been helping me with those reminders and setting my meds up for me. I could do better with eating. This week was very hard. Um, as I had mentioned in one of my previous videos, that they ended up leaving again about 500 in me. So because they couldn't get all of the ascites out in that state in my belly. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but it very well could be. Um, so I have my parents paracentesis this week to get my abdomen drained. I usually do it Fridays, but I'm going to do it on Thursday this week to see if that helps. Because when it gets really full, then they have to put albium, I don't even know how to pronounce it, inside me. I know there is a shortage of that right now. So if I get above 3.5 or it's 3.5 liters, then they have to put me on an IV drip to get some of those proteins in me very quickly. So that was my appointment yesterday. I'm hoping to see some good things come out of that. I am not driving right now. I've been lost about 3 or 4 times. I haven't drove in over a month. It's for my safety and the safety of others. It's one of those things. It wasn't like I was driving anywhere I hadn't gone. I got lost. I didn't know where I was. And I just kept driving and ended up like way over somewhere else. And I had to pull over and get my GPS out to get home. So that's happened a few times. Right now I'm not driving. Um, so the state hasn't taken my license. It's just more of a safety thing right now. The fogginess in my head isn't completely gone all the time. I'm always going to have that ammonia there, but I'm hoping that I can get leveled out to a point where I can drive again. I would never go a long distance, though. Maybe a short distance. So my car is just keeping the miles off it and sitting pretty. I stare at it once in a while. So some questions I've gotten. Let's see here. Someone had asked me more about the ascites. How do you know you have it? When did you first get it? The very first time I ended up in the hospital was back, I want to say it was in COVID, so 20 or 21. And I went in because I wasn't feeling well. My stomach had been extended. And I hadn't been drinking either because I just wasn't feeling well. And then I ended up getting hibachi for my boyfriend and us and whoever was at the house. And I literally think I had 4 to 5 bowls of miso soup in the covered in like 2 days time frame. And I didn't know that there's like 6,000 milligrams of sodium per teaspoon or tablespoon maybe in miso soup. So I ended up going to the ER. They looked at me and they said, we're going to keep you. Your ammonia levels are high, and we're afraid that if you go to sleep, you might not wake up. And I'm like, what is going on? And she said, we don't have enough beds here because of COVID, so we're gonna ship you over to Unity, which I ended up at Unity back then. It was December 10th, I want to say, something like that. And they kept me there for a few days, admitted me. I couldn't have any visitors, which was scary in the first place. You're on this random floor with people that don't have COVID, but you still can't have visitors. At the same time, my son was in the hospital recovering from, he was recovering from a pretty dangerous injury that almost killed him. Accident. If you're on my Facebook, you know what I'm referring to. So he's in the hospital. My young teenage son is stuck at the house by himself, and my parents are in Alabama. and I don't know what to do. I'm like, okay, great. So everybody's gone, and here I am in the hospital. But they got a team together. They ran a bunch of tests, did blood test after blood test, they had me on a drip. I'm surprised they had an IV drip on me. But ultimately, they did a CT scan, took a look at, based on some of my liver panels, your blood work in your liver, it only tells you so much. It tells you the basics. It doesn't go in deep enough to see if there's actual fibrosis or, spots on your liver where this bad cells are gone and it's turning into cirrhosis. So they didn't see that at the time. They contributed it to what's called a fatty liver, which you can die from as well. There's different types of liver disease that you can have. You have liver cancer. You can have fatty liver, which is more prone to people who are overweight. um, not the right diet, you may drink. Some people have had to actually get liver transplants because of that. Fatty liver typically happens, it used to typically happen more frequently in young men and young boys under the age of like 11, and it would go away. You can reverse it. But now more and more you see a lot of fatty livers just because of the diet and the foods that we're putting down our mouth. So we're made of like 80% is everything we are that we eat or drink. So I ended up going home. They didn't really tell me much. They looked at my belly. They said, no, we don't need to drain you. But I was like extended out to here. My stomach was rock hard. They did start me on lactulose. At that point, I think it was to get rid of the ammonia that was sticking inside my blood and all that, and flush that out, and put me on some diuretics and whatnot, sent me home. I was good for a while. I did not, I think I did cut back. I quit actually drinking for a month or two because I was still unsure. And then I was feeling fine again. So I cut back my drinking, changed my drinking style a little bit, but I wasn't helping it. They don't really tell you anything, especially, if they're not sure, because you can have so many different things with your liver that can cause cirrhosis. So many different things, so many variables. It's a fickle bitch. So ultimately, I did end up back in the hospital a couple times. I ended up in the ER again. They admitted me again, and that was the most recent visit where they kept me overnight. I just wanted to go home. They actually had to put the alarm on the bed so I didn't get up. Put me on water restriction, which they should have done in the first place, a liquid restriction. I'll explain why, but I just wanted to go home. I didn't want to be poked and prodded anymore. So I ended up going home, and I did start like officially getting routine, going in to see my gastroenterologist specialists at Menji Digestive, and found out I didn't have cirrhosis. And it was bad. So, and after that, we're getting up there to 2002, got my first drain, and someone had asked about the ascites, like, what is it exactly? Because if you look at my video, it's yellow. It does not come out of your stomach. Ascites builds up in little pockets, and if I can get a picture of the ultrasound next time, I'll show you. It's all the bad toxins. Your liver cleans everything in your body. Everything goes through your liver. So the blood that goes through your heart, the blood that goes through your kidneys, your spleen, your pancreas. So your liver stops getting rid of that by going through it, because it can't get through your liver. So it starts to excrete it somehow into your abdominal areas and pockets surrounding your organs, not inside your organs. So the ascites is that yellow fluid, and it is very painful. It causes your organs to squish together. I've looked like I'm 9 months pregnant before. It's hard on your muscles, your back, your stomach. You just get sick. You can't eat. This week I barely could eat. So it's some pretty nasty stuff. Um, we were hoping it would slow down, but it's not. I'm still going in weekly, and it's all been above 1,000 liters at least. The 3.8 a couple weeks ago, that was a lot. The most they can take out of me at once, I believe, is 5. That's just with the Alina healthcare system. I've seen online, I've seen people that have gone like 15 liters. I don't even know how they're alive. So the ascites, a lot of people, it just goes away or it stops. And I'm hoping over time, if I can get more protein in me, that's supposed to help with my protein shakes, eating the right foods. That's the hard part. So we'll talk about foods and recipes. I've gotten questions about that too as well. It's just healthy eating. Watching your salt intake, which you should be anyway, is huge with this. So the ascites, it fills up in your stomach. It can fill up pretty quickly on any given time. So you've got that pressure, and then you can't go to the bathroom. That's why they put you on the fluid restrictions. So only so many fluids a day, because you'll start to build up that against. So you're forcing that fluid in there. Plus your ascites is building up, and now it's squishing all your organs and your intestines together. And it's just hell. It gets so bad you can feel it up underneath your rib cage. It makes it hard to breathe sometimes. It makes it hard to walk. It takes the breath out of you. It's heavy shit. And it goes into it's starting to go in my back. And this last time they couldn't get all of it. So when they stick the needle in, and there's a video of it, they look for a pocket in the ultrasound machine that they can get in through without. They don't want to hit my intestines with that needle. So they use lidocaine. Lidocaine, yep, it's the bad burning part. They then pull the needle out, insert the tube. And when the tube's in there, they're trying to get in between like your organs to get all the ascites, and it moves around in those little pocket areas. So that's kind of ascites. You can watch my video. I'll try and get to the ultrasound picture next time to show you those pockets. You can see them plain as day. So ascites is probably one of the worst parts, besides just not being able to eat, physically having to force yourself to eat. That's why a lot of people, one of the things that they notice when they start getting sick like I did this last summer, I was active. I was working 2 jobs. I was working at the park, and I was doing HR, and I was doing it all while I was sick. And I knew I was getting sick, but I didn't know I was this sick. And like my pants were just falling right off me. I'm like, what in the heck? So if somebody that's another thing to watch for, is a really rapid weight loss. I think I lost 38 pounds. Oh no, it was more than that, 40 some pounds in a matter of months after that. And that's when you hit that scary, you have stage 1, 2, 3, 4, actively dying. In the stage 4 means you need a liver, like you're gonna die. I'm around the 3. I'm hoping I can get down to 2. We'll see. But I've had all the really bad stage stuff, which I knew I needed to go in. So I'm going to tell you a short story, and I think I shared this with someone else too, that there is a girl, and she, like, for maybe almost 11 months, she was just drinking, having a bourbon every night. Maybe 1, 2, 3 drinks of bourbon a night. And she woke up, and she was pretty young. She was, I want to say she was in her mid to late 20s. And she went to the ER. Her mom was there with her. She just didn't know why. She was so bloated and sick and just suddenly didn't feel well. And the doctor walked into the room and said, well, I'm going to let you go home. And you need to be with your family right now and start making arrangements. Funeral arrangements. And she said her mom puked all over the floor. She looked at the doctor and said, what are you talking about? She had no idea. She had no clue. She woke up, she was that sick. She had no idea. It was similar to my situation. You go in and you're like, what? I was just like working and or doing this, and like, you're telling me I'm dying. She was literally like on the MELD score, if you're familiar with that. It's one of the things that they use to determine if you need to be on the donor list. She was at a 38. They ended up putting her in hospice. She went. They started drugging her up with, you can imagine, you're in hospice, right? They're telling you you're going to die. So they're pumping her full of more meds, more pain meds. She stayed there long enough to where it got her addicted. Her body was addicted to the pain meds. And she got up one day and said, F this, I'm not going out this way. She stopped taking the pain pills. She had to go withdrawal. She was in the hospital. Somehow, some way, by God's grace, she is alive. So don't be her, don't be me, don't wait. If you have someone, that's the other thing I wanted to talk about. If you have a spouse or a significant other or a friend, and you're at that point where you need to have that conversation with them. You could use the 3-strike rule. Okay, you see him really stupid and drunk and it's serious, you're going to let it go. Maybe it's not going to happen again. You can wait. If you've known this person for a while and has been heated discussions, you're emptying booze bottles, taking booze bottles, there is no sense in doing that. That person is going to get in the car or go find their stash, and you're going to cause an argument. The best time to speak to someone about how you feel and your concerns is when they are not drinking. They're going to get confrontational with you, possibly. They could be mean. It's just senseless. And maybe you can speak to them about some of the things you've noticed. And it's going to be a really tough conversation. But then the ball's in their court, and then you have to make some decisions yourself. The other thing I wanted to speak about today very briefly here, I just wanted to keep it to half an hour. I wanted to talk about when you do start going in, if you do. That was the hardest part for me at first, but when you are in a place where they understand what's going on and they have professionals like Minji Digestive, They have students at Abbott. They have teams all over Minnesota. They understand. They don't treat you any differently. You walk in their office or you have a phone call with them, like, they don't judge you. I know that can be very difficult. A lot of people say, well, they did this to themselves. They made their choice and it's their fault. Well, I did drink, but we all make mistakes. I don't drink anymore. I am clean as sober, and it doesn't even bother me. Actually, it makes me want to vomit. The thought of a drink makes me want to throw up. I can honestly say it doesn't bother me, but we'll have a different conversation about that in another day too. So I wanted to talk about going into the ER. That's been the most stressful, anxiety-driven thing. And I can tell you right now, I can't even count on both hands how many times this year I've been to the ER. Simply because I couldn't get in during the week to get my abdomen drained, and I couldn't bear it so much. I went to the ER thinking, okay, they can help me here. My doctor said, go to the ER, they will help you. They did help me at one hospital, and then it started getting kind of weird. I don't know with the staffing going on, I found, but after this last time, I was feeling pretty sad. There's been a couple times I've gone in, and they say, well, I looked at your chart. I did go to the ER one day at like 2 or 3 in the morning on a Saturday, thinking it wouldn't be full, and it wasn't. I think their beds were full, but there was no one waiting, so they did triage me right away. But that specific ER doctor, I didn't recognize them, and anywho, he looked at me and he said, is this a want or a need? He said, well, what if we don't have albumin here? Well, we don't have any. What are you going to do? There's a shortage of it right now. And I looked at him, and I had been crying for days. I said, please help me. This is not a want. I need you to help me. Please. That's all I'm asking. And the way that he addressed it was like, it wasn't that important. I don't know if he doesn't understand because he's an ER doctor. They probably, I'm guessing they're not way into like gastroenterology, and they look at your chart and see you've had your stomach drained. Oh, and by the way, her medical chart says cirrhosis of the liver, fatty liver, cirrhosis, alcoholism. Yeah, so that's the first thing that pops up. I didn't say anything that first time. I did go home, and it was very upsetting to me after I'd been there for like 5 or 6 hours. He was upset, I found out, because he had to do the drain. They didn't have anyone in radiology that could do it, so he had to do it. He did the best he could, I guess. But it really irritated me when he came into my room and said, well, we're not working in a sterile work environment anymore, I guess. I'm like, what is that supposed to tell me? Like, why are you saying that to me? And when you walk up to the window, when you get to the ER, they're asking you why you're here. And you're like, well, I have cirrhosis. If I go to the ER, I go to the ER because I'm like done, like sick. And they're like, okay, specifically, like, what's wrong? I said, well, I have cirrhosis of the liver. And what was it this last time? Oh, I was bleeding for like 2 days straight out of my nose, coughing up blood. I have varices in my throat. I'd been sick. I knew I had lost a lot of blood and I wasn't feeling right. So I got a ride to the ER, and when I got there, I was bleeding like everywhere in the waiting room, and there had to been like 50 people sitting in there. I'm like, oh my God, I'm dizzy. I can barely stand up. I can't sit down. I called my doctor, and I spoke to her assistant, and I said, I'm going to have him check my ammonia levels because I just don't feel right. I said, I feel like I'm in a video game, and I can tell when I'm going into that fasciitis or whatever you call it, when your ammonia levels are so high, you're starting to go into that wacky stage. She kept me on the phone as I sat in the triage area, and they're like, okay, we're going to get you a bed right now. And I kept her on the phone. And then I let her go because they got me a bed in the ER. And the nurse said, here's a box of tissues, and the doctor will be in soon. Okay, so a half an hour, 45 minutes goes by. Doctor has not been in. I'm bleeding, like all over my clothes, all over the bed. I'm putting my nose back. I'm on the phone again with my doctor's assistant. She's like, hit that nurse button. Keep hitting it till somebody comes. Well, nobody came. So then I get out, I walk over to the door, and I'm looking out in the hallway, and I'm in help. I'm like, can someone please help me? I'm bleeding everywhere. And she came in and said, oh, yeah, the doctor should be here shortly. Here's some more Kleenex. I'm like, okay, great. So doctor comes in, introduces herself. So, oh, we help people with bloody noses all the time. I said, okay, that's great. So there's some other things going on. I said, I'm here because I am shaking uncontrollably. I have these tremors, and I can't even hold my phone to dial it. And I knew that I had been bleeding a lot because I was not feeling okay. I said, I don't feel good. I've been bleeding for 2 days. She shoved some stuff up my nose, put a clamp on it. I'll be back in 20 minutes and check on you, and we'll get some lab work done. And I said, okay, let's please check my ammonia levels. All right, so hour goes by, my boyfriend comes in, she comes in, and she still hadn't spoken to me, and I was getting upset. You know, I mean, your tolerance level just, like, and you know me, I'm a pretty calm person, unless I know something's not right. Now I'm learning to speak up, advocate for myself, but when you're in my position, sometimes it's hard because they look at you like, oh, you're just a raving alcoholic, which I wasn't even there for pills or drugs or whatever. But she came back in. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so, you know, you look good. Lab work still not back. Oh, I'll go check. Came back. Everything looks good. You know, maybe your red or white blood count cells down, one of the two. And I said, okay, how about my ammonia? I'm very concerned about my ammonia levels right now because I know when I start not to feel good, and I don't want to end up like in a coma for 2 days, not knowing where I am or what I'm doing, because that's what happens. I black out. And she goes, I don't need to check your ammonia levels. I can just tell. She said, you're speaking and I can understand. I said, there is something wrong, and I asked you to check my ammonia levels. I don't need to do that. I said, well, my doctor said that you should. And I said, I want to speak to a social worker. I want to call my daughter. I want to speak to somebody. I said, I do not feel safe going home like this. And she threw her hands up in the air and said, I don't need to check your ammonia levels. We're not going to keep you here. I said, okay, fine. I was frustrated, and the words that were going to come out of my mouth were not going to be nice. And no, I don't like being in the hospital. So I was I was so hurt that she didn't take the time. And this is what worries me, and I have to set my pride aside, is that people are going to judge me because I'm not a drinker. I don't drink, and I'm sober, and I have been for a very long time, almost 6 months sober, because I need to get on that donor list, right? So I did call the hospital, and I found out that some of those ER doctors don't work for the hospital. They're sourced out by a third party. They're doing an investigation. And the thing that I had mentioned was, I didn't appreciate that she pointed out all the times I've been to the ER. That wasn't even why I was there, to get my stomach drained. I said I was there because of the excessive bleeding and the shaking, and I don't feel right. Well, turns out I get a call for my next lab appointment, and my ammonia levels should be around 60. I think 60 is normal, 62. As of this last Friday, they had elevated up to over 100. So I know, I can feel it when something's not right. And it's very scary to me. That's a scary part. I don't know if I've shared this with you, but my boyfriend Mike, he had to go to work one night or one morning, and thank God my daughter came to check on me. I hadn't walked outside or drove or gone outside in my bathrobe or in the middle of the street. She found me laying in the middle of my floor, banging my head, and I was gone. Like, I didn't know my name. I couldn't talk. I thought she was Gavin, I guess. I don't remember 2 days of my life. I woke up and it scared the living shit out of me. So that's in a nutshell, guys. I'm going to let you have a nice rest of your day. If you have any other questions, please shoot them at me. I'm hoping we can grow our community here on my YouTube channel, because I'd like to hear others' stories, and I have questions for others who've maybe gone through this too about certain things, and because they don't tell you everything. Like, I didn't know my hair was going to start falling out, but it was. That's just why I cut it short. So if you didn't notice, it's just one of those weird flipping things that happens, I guess. So I love you guys. I might get bored later and get another message out if I have a good topic. I haven't gone explicitly into like my stupid drunken slumber things, and I'm sure there's some stupid ass dumb crap I've done, while I was drinking. Yeah, I can tell you all those stories, but I know I'm not the only one out there. But if you know someone, please reach out to them. Get them watching this. I want to talk about diet. I want to talk about eating. I want to talk about the different levels and you know, sleeping when you can sleep. The awake sleep syndrome. Like some nights I can't sleep. I'm missing it. There's a chemical missing from my brain now. So my days and nights are flipped and I can't do anything about it. Sleeping pills don't work. So I try them, but it doesn't always work. But at least I can get a couple hours of sleep. Here's at you, everybody. I love hearing from you. Please like my Facebook page. I can't wait to start seeing and getting visitors and going for walks because I am going absolutely out of my gourd right now. Love you. Peace out.